Good morning. This is Doug Davis with Crombie Realty, broker in charge, with another session of Ask Doug. So I had a friend ask me, should he sell his home on his own? However, his home is in a different state, so I can't really do that. But the discussion here today would be much the same. And his thought was, well, when I sell it, the market's so hot, I could sell it in 24 hours and I'd have multiple offers and away we go. Well, then I asked him about part 2 and part 3, and his confidence was lowered after realizing what happens next. So anyone can sell anything. It's not that difficult if you know what you're doing. The process is easy, but I find that most people don't realize the 3 main parts of the sale process. So what he was thinking was the marketing part, the marketing, putting an ad in, getting the people to put in an offer. And he was thinking of not even having to show the home, and he could sell it remotely from another state. So people got to get in for many reasons. They want to kick the tires. They want to see what it's like, what condition, what the kitchen's like, the bathrooms, is it a dump inside, is it nice inside, that sort of thing. So true, the marketing part is probably the easiest part for someone doing that. But then what do you do next? The contract part. So one of them puts in an offer. What are you going to do? How do you know what to counter? What about special terms in there? Our Hawaii contracts are modified constantly and updated and compared with case law, and the Board of Realtors tries to perfect it so that we all stay out of as much trouble as possible when selling. So please, if you're doing something like this, don't take a contract out of a book and try to sell a home like that. So some people say, well, I'll just hire an attorney. Well, I've seen that happen, and I've seen attorneys create their own sale contract from scratch. Talk about billable hours, yikes. And then another thing with an attorney, do you think you can get them to respond to an offer today? Because you should. When offers come in, you need to respond to them right away. You can't drag it on for days or weeks. You need to do it right away. So that may or may not be a good option there. And then what about the addenda? There are some state and federal addenda that need to be included, and it's a requirement of law. And if you don't know what they are and you make the sale, that's probably not a good idea. So for example, the federal one would be the lead-based paint for homes built and painted prior to 1978. And for the state, we have the disclosure. Disclosure needs to be filled out. Anything that's may need to be disclosed about the property. If it's leasehold, you need a plain English summary, and then you need to hire someone to summarize the ground lease. Those are all mandated government requirements of a sale, so you better have those. And then there's other addenda that are not required, but my goodness, if you don't have them, you're leaving yourself extremely exposed. So for example, if you have an oceanfront property, you best have an oceanfront addenda that goes over the issues. So, buyer beware, buyer understand, go in with their eyes wide open, understand what is involved with owning oceanfront property and how that relates to the state and what happens if the sand is eroded and that sort of thing. So, and then still on number 2 here, the contract part. How are you at negotiating? How well and how sure are you about the price? Are you leaving hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table because you don't have it priced right? Or are you overpriced and you're going to be spinning your wheels? And how do you know what parts to negotiate? And the dates, or the dates for all the different things that you have to do, are they reasonable? So, okay, so those are just some of the issues on that. Okay, so now you go into the third and final phase, and that's the escrow. So you establish an intermediary between the buyer and seller where the money goes, the earnest money goes, and escrow is in charge of conveying clear title, and they're the ones that assemble all the documentation. If it's a mortgage, they get that ready for recording and hiring the attorney to draft the deed, making sure the real property taxes are paid, the HOA, maintenance fees, lease rent if it's leasehold, and prorating all of those things. But are you going to be helping the other side of the transaction? Maybe they don't know what they're doing either. Maybe they don't have an agent that can guide them through. So are you going to be helping them with the loan process? I've seen people get surveys on their own for sale by owners. And I remember one guy that paid $8,000 to get a survey. And we normally will get quotes in the $700, $800, $900 range. So there's survey companies that do expensive surveys, but you know, if you're only doing this once or twice in your lifetime, how would you know? So are you really saving money by not having an agent when you know you might be overpaying on some of these other things or leaving money on the table? So, and then what about following the timeline of the escrow? So if certain things are due on April 16th and that comes and goes, you need to do an extension. You need to do an addenda to change the date. And if you don't, you may be getting into trouble. You shouldn't pass deadlines. It's not a good idea. So you need to keep in contract all the way through, and if things take a little bit longer, then you need to do that in writing and get signatures from everyone. So you know, yes, you can sell it on your own. I could cut my own hair. I could fix my own car. I could represent myself in a lawsuit. No, I don't think so. So, you know, is it worth it? If you know what you're doing, absolutely, sure, that's fine. But if you have any doubts, I don't think it's a good idea. So anyway, you be the judge. Those are just some of the concepts that one should think about if you're thinking about for sale by owning, selling your own home on your own. Okay, that's it. And love to hear these questions from my friends. Always interesting to talk about, and love to hear from you as well. Have a great day, all.